mountains or whatever. It was tight. Vagar couldn't go, so he had to go up. He went through, and then he almost escaped. But then his dragon was like, "Nah, I ain't a bitch." So he turned around and spit some hot fire at Vagar like his name was Dylon, right? And Vagar was like, "Who's this little fly?" Like trying to come at me. And then both of them were struggling to control their dragons. Their dragons at that point, they're like, nah, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want. Now this is dragon fighting territory. And it's interesting also to see this because they mentioned this, I think, in the last episode. It's like, we don't want to involve dragons. Like, that's not the best case scenario. Like, involving the dragons is going to be bad.
Let's just
right?
say that
That
the
means
dragons,
war.
the dragons, for anybody who catches this reference, they kind of had a dragon moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, wait,
Both
is that
like
Boone?
bleeding, like serve me.
For anybody who didn't understand that reference, go watch Boondocks. But yeah, then we get to episode 10. That's when like they're planning the wars, and this is our season finale. This is when all the crazy shit happens and sets us up for the next season. Rhaenyra gets the message from them that she will keep Dragonstone. She will keep her sons. Her son Lucerys will keep Driftmark as the heir. Her son Jacaerys will take over Dragonstone after her passing, and blah blah blah. They will be given lemon seed. They won't be killed or whatever. Um, and then she had already been crowned as the queen with her father's crown because Sir Eric took the crown and brought it to her. And she addresses
That was a pretty big moment because
Yeah. It
was an amazing
up
moment.
until that moment, no one's like bowed down to a female queen ruler, and so
Yeah.
at that moment, for one of the guards to actually like take the knee and like pledge their allegiance was huge moment, and it was really sick. And then Damon, puts it on her head. That was awesome.
Can I just take a moment on the knights, the twin knights, Eric and whatever the other one's name is, Eric too.
Yeah.
I love that this character exists. I think he's a relatively small character, but it feels like such a representation of the audience. Like honestly, they feel to me more like two sides of like one person's conscience. Like one guy's like, we gotta do what's right for Allison. The other one's like, we gotta do what's right for Rhaenyra. They both have their points that they're making, and it's kind of like they're kind of tearing apart, and they end up on different sides of it, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
You could see when they were fighting. Sorry to interrupt, but you could see when Sir Kristen and Aemon were fighting, how the brothers actually only one of them was fighting, and the other brother was up top just watching, just like
Exactly.
you could see the tension there.
Also,
you could see
like,
the difference in ideas. It's like, I'm not paying for that shit. Like,
like also Eric was like, Aegon's a piece of shit. He should not be ruling.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like, how much longer am I supposed to deal with this bullshit?
Yeah. So he was like, I don't want to do this. I'd rather have Rhaenyra. Like,
yeah,
it's
definitely
like
a beautiful scene when she's wearing the crown, and like the actor's portrayal of like as she puts the crown on, it was like somber. It wasn't like a big powerful moment. Because she's already had her miscarriage, right?
Yeah.
At this point.
And her father died.
She's just and like processing so much shit, and you see it on her face as the
amount of shit Rhaenyra has went through in this season, alone is ridiculous. Just with giving birth, she gave birth to her third son and then went to see the queen herself, and she was walking after birth. She gave birth here, wrapped up the baby, gave it a funeral, and then was like, all right, let's get into the war room and talk this out. And it's just like, it's wild, crazy shit, all the things that she had to go through, and she's still so badass, and
she
I love
never
that.
gets time
and her father died.
That's her thing. Everything happens, and she doesn't have any time to like deal with it. Just like something happened, boom, got to do something else. It's like she has no time to grieve or do anything.
It's a series of tragedies, just one after another.
Like, I just want to say, Amazon, this is how you do a strong female character.
Oh.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. You know what I'm saying?
God, we're not gonna spend too much time on that, are we?
No,
Thank God.
I think the battle is that we're talking about House of Dragons for 2 hours.
Well, we're almost done with House of Dragons. We're about to we're in the last episode now.
Yeah.
And a lot happens in this episode. There's like so both sides are trying to see who's on their side. Both sides are trying to see how they're going to defeat the other side, right? Rhaenyra is trying the best that she can not to start a war. And so after like all these things happen, Corlys is alive. He's getting better. He comes down. He pledges his allegiance again to Rhaenyra, and he's like, "Driftmark is yours." Also, this time I put a fucking garrison in the Stepstones. They're ours, and we can choke out the trading routes to stop anything from going into the Red Keep, right?
It's the Trade Federation for episode 1.
Yeah. Um,
While you're on Corliss, I
yeah.
just if I could just mention that scene where Rhaenys comes in to talk to Corliss.
Yeah.
I just loved how much she's like, "Get your ass up. These guys killed your brother. He's dead because he was being an asshole, and now you're gonna pledge your allegiance to them because they're the rightful people." Like she's pretty much like, "Get up, get dressed. We're going downstairs." Like I don't want to hear this. And he's like, "Fuck."
It's funny because he had like a big epiphany too. He's like, "Man, I put you through so much shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry for like wasting all your time. And the pursuit of the throne has, clouded my mind." And all of a sudden, she's just like, "Shut up, we're back in this shit." Like, maybe like a year ago, I would have been like, "Okay, yeah, let's run away." But
Too late now.
Her kids are at stake too, so like she's not gonna play that.
Yeah,
game.
like guys, listen to
get
your
your
wives
armor
every
on.
once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
One thing I want to mention real quick, I forgot. Corliss's brother, I loved him. Like,
Yeah, he was great.
when he like the whole thing, he's just like, you know what? I'm the only person that saying what's was right. Everybody's gonna act like this is bullshit. He's like, you know what? Your sons are. Hang on, let me stand back so everyone can see this. Bastards. Bastards. We know it. We all know it. He doesn't want to see it, but we know the truth. Head cut off. Like half his head cut off. Like that's it.
And he got his head got cut off after calling Rhaenyra a whore.
That's right.
And then Daemon was like, "All right, I got you, bro."
But that was just perfect. I was like, he was like, "Nah, man, I got too much honor. I don't care. I'm gonna go out like a G. I'm gonna say the truth. Nobody else wants to say it."
I loved Damon's reaction afterwards because he like cut off his head and then all the guards like took out their swords and pointed at Damon. He's like, all right, put it down. Like he's like, what the fuck are you guys gonna do? Like, no, that was great. All right, where was I? So Corlys pledges his allegiance, and now they're like, Rhaenyra's like, well, the Starks, the Baratheons, and someone else, we got to make sure the what?
The Tullys.
The Tullys. Now we got to make sure they're on our side
because they had pledged their oaths.
They
to
have
her
to keep true to their oath that they made originally when Viserys was alive to have Rhaenyra as the heir.
Exactly. So they mentioned again that they're like, well, the Starks are pretty much going to be on our sides because the Starks like follow the king or whatever. Like they're honorable.
They're honorable. Yeah.
They're gonna keep their promise, and then they're like, we got to make sure the Baratheons that he keeps his father's promise because it was a new king, and then you have a new lord, and then you had the Tullys, which we didn't really get to see. So the Maester's like, all right, I'll get ready the Ravens, and then Jacaerys was like, we should go on Dragonback. One, they fly faster, and two, it'll be more in like he said
convincing.
it in a convincing, yeah, but he meant it in an intimidating way because earlier Daemon was like, here, come on, let me teach you a lesson in loyalty. And then he had the dragon come out and ask the two guards, be like, "Hey, are you gonna be with the Rhaenyra or are you gonna die?" Like, which he's like, because if you do it now, you're good, but if you do it now and then later you betray her, then it's like it's gonna be even worse. Now it's gonna be quick, you know. So I thought that was funny. Amazing. And so they go on Dragonback, and we follow Lucerius and he goes to Baratheon.
Which the name of their land, it's been mentioned multiple times in Game of Thrones. Yeah. We've never seen it before. The Baratheon.
No, it's not that.
It was Storm something. Storm
End.
Storm's End. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, he
that shot. My God.
So. Lucerius lands, and when he lands, we see Vagar's head just pop up, be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Oh, It's just a little bitch dragon, and then goes back down, right? And then Lucerys walks in. Obviously, Aemond is there, and he hands the scroll to one of the guards, Barath, which I thought was Robert Baratheon. Dude looked exactly like him, same fat and haircut, and he couldn't read, so he calls for a maester. The maester reads it. Well, he's like, well, I'm not gonna, like, you expect me. I'm not your mother's dog. She's gonna come. I'm gonna come to her aid when she whistles. Like, so at least they're offering me a marriage to one of my daughters, like a high marriage. Like, what can you offer? Can you marry? He's like, sorry, I'm already be a promise to someone. And
One of his lines I really liked,
yeah,
the Baratheon Kings. He was like, "You come here offering me nothing and demand that I stay true to stale oaths." I love that he said stale oaths. Like he's
yeah,
like, "That's like old news. The fuck are you talking about? Like, where's
yeah,
my money? Where's my wife's or
yeah.
husband's or whatever?" Yeah, it's good
And
shit.
and then you send this little pup to try to convince me,
Yeah,
like,
that's what he
Yeah,
called him, a little pup.
yo, and the
Uh,
way when he walked, first of all, when like the lightning strikes and you see Vagar just kind of like
yeah,
raise his head for a second in the distance, that was like I heard someone compare it to the world serpent from God of War, like just
nice.
kind
Yeah,
of opening his head for a second, and then when he walks inside the castle itself, you see Aemon is already kind of like putting the moves on his new wife, like
yeah.
he's got all this like evil swag just standing
Another
there.
great
Like,
character, Aemon.
yeah.
So there's like a then Eamon just can't help it, right? He's got to pick on this kid, and he calls him strong. He does all this shit, and then he's like, "You're gonna give me an eye," and
he throws
so
his dagger.
yeah, he's like, "You're gonna give me
Mhm.
an eye. I'm not gonna take both of you. I'm not gonna blind you." And he takes off his patch. There's like a sapphire in there.
What a fucking stone he's got too. It
Um,
looked awesome.
so a couple things. So I was watching a video on like that scene and like how it was portrayed in the books. So apparently, Aemon does that a lot. He has the patch when he's in court and in the thing, but whenever he fights, he takes off the patch because it's intimidating.
Mhm.
Um, that's one thing.
100%.
Two, apparently, Lucerys had talked shit back or something like that, and then
You're
Aemon
a
got
one-eyed
even.
bitch, Aemon.
And apparently, in the books, which they didn't do this here, and if they did, it would have been phenomenal. But in the books, the wife that he was promised or like he was gonna marry start talking shit to Aemon. She was like, "Wait, do you?" He's like, "He took one of your eyes. Did he also take your balls or some shit like
Oh
that?"
shit.
Like they started going at him, and that's what really pissed him off. And led to the led to him chasing him with the dragons. And as you see here, so what happens is he was about to start a fight, Aemond, and Baratheon was like, "No, not in my hall. I'm not spilling blood in my house, and we're not doing this to an what are they called? Envoy.
He's there in an envoy
Messengers or yeah.
Yeah,
capacity, which is
Yeah.
just a messenger,
you
not a
don't kill the
warrior.
messenger."
Yeah,
Um, so what happens is Lucerys leaves on his dragon, and what I thought was interesting was the conversation he had with his dragon before he left, because we never saw this before. He was like, "Relax, Varix, like obey me, Varix,"
Mhm.
and like he was like talking to his dragon, and I was like, I thought that was interesting, and you find out later why he said that, and
Very
I
good
just
foreshadowing there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, holy shit. And I was like, all right, so he leaves and then you start hearing Aemon laughing in the clouds,
Ugh.
like chasing him. And as you see on your screen right here, if you're not watching on YouTube, go check this out. But it's a still from the show where you see the size difference between Vagar and Varix, and it was one of the most amazing shots they did in this. Vagar is in the clouds, lightning strikes, he gets lit up his shadow, and you see like the difference between the sizes of the dragons. And wow, it's just amazing.
it's like
You
a
know, we've
private
we've
plane
seen this
compared to
shot.
a commercial jet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen this shot so many times with a camera pointing down at an ocean where
Yes.
you see like Godzilla or you see like the kaiju like in
Hmm.
Pacific Rim or something. And I love that this is flipping that on its head and you're looking up and you see this fucking beast in the
Yeah.
clouds. And it was and the tension before you see him. There was a solid like minute of
Yeah.
him just flying through the
And
storm.
you don't see the dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh god, it's coming in any
Yeah.
moment. Like you're so scared for him.
And when they're fighting at a point, I was like, "Oh man, is he gonna get away with his like quickness?" You know,
Yeah,
and
so
and,
he
and then
was
he
doing
burned
that.
the
This kid
Vagar in the
was not a
face.
bitch. He
No.
was like, we're gonna get out of this. I like, do
Yep.
you turn now? Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, he was very very brave.
He
And
was doing his shit, and then he understood that his dragon was smaller, faster, and can maneuver better,
yeah,
and that's why he put his dragon through that what is that called, like a valley?
Airbender versus Firebender
Yeah, yeah,
vibes.
that valley in between
hmm
mountains or whatever. It was tight. Vagar couldn't go, so he had to go up. He went through, and then he almost escaped, but then his dragon was like, "Nah, I ain't a bitch." So he turned around and spit some hot fire at Vagar like his name was Dylon, right? And Vagar was like, "Who's this little fly?" Like trying to come at me. And then both of them were struggling to control their dragons. Their dragons at that point, they're like, "Nah, we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want." Now this is dragon fighting territory.
Mhm.
And it's interesting also to see this because they mentioned this, I think, in the last episode. It's like we don't want to involve dragons. Like
Yeah.
that's not the best case scenario. Like involving the dragons is gonna be bad,
Let's
Yeah.
just
right?
say that
That
the
means war.
dragons, the dragons, for anybody who catches this reference, they kind of had a dragon moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
They
Oh
were
wait,
both
is that a
like
boon?
pleading, like serve me.
For anybody who didn't understand that reference, go watch Boondocks.
Yes, I'm so
yeah,
Um,
glad I got it. Beautiful, beautiful.
okay, so what happened was,
That's
so
exactly what.
Varric spits fire at Vagar's face, does nothing, and then
yeah.
he dips, and then Lucerys takes his dragon above the storm, and then he's like, "Oh shit, I think I got away," and then Vagar just
Yo,
pops out of the side, out of nowhere, and just fucking eats Varix and Lucerys. Like he literally chops them in like couple of
one
pieces.
chomp.
One
It's like he popped a
bite,
chicken
just
nugget in his mouth.
Yeah, like
one
it was
bite, chomp both
wild,
of them.
Dude,
and it
I
was
was like,
such a
please
crazy scene.
don't show
Yeah.
me the clear sky moment. Please don't show me the clear sky moment because it reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have talked about the Matrix before. I know you hate the Matrix,
Horrible.
but in the last Matrix they go out of the storm and up into this like beautiful like sunny clear sky for one moment before like descending into hell. So it is like the one clear sky moment where I'm like, now he's fucked. He's dead. And then he just comes in and gets
Yeah.
that bite. Oh my god.
Oh man,
And the
that scene
chunks
was
just
just.
falling through the sky.
It
Ugh.
was such an amazing scene, such an amazing sequence. They did a great job with this. Like, you don't have to spend $750 million to make, something good like this. You know what I'm
I
saying?
love these sick burns. Rings of power.
But
You could see Aemon like looking back, like, "Oh
His
shit, oh shit,
his
I
he's
fucked
like,
face.
I
up." Like
fucked up.
he
He's
fucked
like,
up
I
bad.
fucked up big.
I just love that like the whole lead up to this when he's in the king's court at the Baratheon castle, like
Yeah.
Aemon came off as such like menacing, overpowering threat. He's older than him. He's a better fighter than him.
Hmm.
He's like taller than him, scarier than him. And like once
That
this
word's forbidden
dragon,
though.
yeah, but once these dragons like get to business, you just see that these
Yeah.
are just like two scared boys that are like strapped
Yep.
along for the ride, and they're
Yes.
like, "Oh
Yes.
God!" Like after he eats the boy, yeah, exactly. Aemon's face, he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah, because he was like he didn't want to kill him. He just wanted to
Yeah,
fuck with him and scare him like like they fucked with him when he was a kid.
exactly.
And the funny thing is like neither of them could control their dragon, even though Aemon was older and tougher and can do all this shit. He still couldn't control Vagar better than Lucerys was controlling Barracks,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was again a foreshadowing when Varix was when Lucerys was like, "Obey me, Varix, like calm down, like obey me, let's fly," and
Yeah. He even
yeah,
told him to focus, and he didn't.
yeah, yeah, no, he didn't focus. He was like, he tried to, he tried to do too much, and he flew too close to the sun. But my God, that was an amazing sequence and an amazing scene. And this is what Eamon's face looked like at the end of that. He
Exactly.
was like,
Oh
he
shit.
was like, fuck. He's like, I fucked up hard.
I want to go
He's like,
I
home.
just keep thinking of the first Scream movie where it's like not Bill but not Billy but Stu. Where it's like at the end where he's like, my parents are gonna be so mad at me. Like that's what I see right now.
yeah, because it's like if the war hadn't like. This is literally what's gonna start the war, right? Like
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Rhaenyra was like, "I'm a hold back, I'm a hold back, I'm a hold back."
yeah.
Now you took her kid, and it's
Like you
just
ate
gonna
my
be,
son.
yeah.
Let's
You
talk
could,
about that
you
final
could,
shot.
yeah, that final shot where she turns
So
around, you could see in her face, it's just like, nope,
What
it's
a
over.
beautiful
Let's
So
pull
shot.
out the
I
big
wanted.
guns.
I'm almost curious how Damon found out
I
that.
was thinking about that the whole time. I was like, how did they find out?
So I was listening to some other podcasts about this, and one of the takes that someone had was like, "Oh, I wonder if just Amond came out publicly and told." And I'm like, where would he even find the time for that? Where would this be announced? I don't think that's what happened. My
Yeah.
personal read on this is that dragon chunks fell on King
It has to be
Baratheon's
it.
like house, and he was
Oh,
like,
okay.
"Oh shit!" And he's like, "All right, I need to make sure everyone knows I had nothing to do with this, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna tell."
that
yeah.
Yeah,
makes the
like
most
because he's
sense.
like, yeah, I think the Baratheons told them, and it was also like you could tell they had been waiting for a while, and it was Jacaerys back
No,
by that point,
he
or
wasn't back yet.
we hadn't seen that
We
yet.
don't
So
Okay,
know.
in season 2, we're gonna see because there's gonna be. So I saw like Jacaerys is gonna have important interactions at the Starks. So
okay.
we're gonna be seeing that in season 2. Uh,
Her I just want to say this one thing I like read about the final shot of the series when the camera is behind both Damon
yeah, when
and
he's telling
Rhaenyra.
her.
Yeah, and he's like kind of walking toward her in slow motion, and for such a long time you only see her back. You can only like imagine what she's like processing right now, and you even see her head kind of like it tilts, like this kind
Yeah,
of
and
like pain and like anguish in her, and like rage is like coming out. And she turns. You were talking about dragon moments, like now her dragon moment is like
Yeah,
coming out. She had all this restraint, and now like that face that she gives the camera is like, wait for
yeah,
season two, bitch.
yeah.
And the thing I read was that that whole sequence and the way it was choreographed was actually Matt, what's his name? Matt Smith's
Oh,
recommendation while they were
really.
oh,
filming. He goes, "What?" Yeah, he
Amon,
goes,
Damon.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
Damon's like, "What if we film this from behind and come up in slow motion on it?" And he apparently they also credit this was the writers themselves giving him credit for that. They also gave him credit for coming up with the picking up the crown for Viserys
Hmm.
and helping him up the steps. I was like, this
Oh, that's
dude
cool.
knows
Yeah.
what the fuck he's doing. Like
yeah, yeah.
he's making
I'll give
Damon
them
like
that.
even cooler. Yeah,
Well,
that's awesome
Dexter's
shit.
New Blood. If you guys want to check out, we did that a long time ago. Where we did reviews on it. Jennifer Carpenter suggested like this one scene where she was talking to Dexter, and it was just like, oh yeah, what if I was holding his hand while he was dying and stuff like that? And like that wasn't part of the script. She was just like, this makes the most sense, and then she lets go. It was like a
Hmm.
whole thing. It's like a lot of times the actors do have solid
They
input.
get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they get
You
like they
know
have to live as these characters for a bit. They're
exactly. So
gonna
they
kind of
know what the
understand.
character would do in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing I forgot to mention was when Damon was singing to King Jaehaerys's dragon. Um, so Damon had mentioned there was other dragons in
Still out there in the
Dragon
wild.
Dragon Mount. No, I think
Mhm.
they live like the dragons just live in that like
And
the
they're
Dragon
unclaimed,
Keep.
right?
Yeah, they're
That's what
unclaimed.
I
They don't
meant to
have
say. Sorry.
riders. And he this dragon apparently was like also big and like ferocious and stuff like that. And
It's
yeah, so he went.
terrifying.
Yeah,
I
it was
forgot the name.
amazing.
It starts with a V. It's like
Victor.
uh
Vince.
that'll be hilarious.
Vin
It's
Diesel.
like Vermuroth or something like that. Vermuroth or it's crazy
You're
like
trying to
that.
say
But
vermouth, but okay.
um, and that scene was really cool. The way he was singing, it's just like Damon. You think he looks scared, but he doesn't. Like it's so weird how he does that, and it's like really interesting. When he was talking to Dragon, he's just like kind of going down, but like staring it right in its eye.
It's amazing how mysterious your emotions are when you
Yeah.
shave your eyebrows off.
So true. So true. That
It's
got me
very
the whole
distracting.
season. I
It's
was
very
just like,
distracting. As I'm watching, I was like, "This man really just doesn't have eyebrows."
Yeah.
Like
You're
that
like,
would be a
what?
recurring
What is
thought
he
throughout the
thinking? I
show.
don't know. I can't
Dude,
read his eyes.
I didn't even notice that.
Really,
I was just like, damn, he
man,
looks
straight up
really
just
good.
doesn't have eyebrows.
If you
I
gave
was
him
like,
eyebrows, it'd be like, oh yeah, no, I get his character.
Like,
It's
oh, okay, so he's not scared.
fine.
yeah, it's like that makes so much sense why he can give those looks and they look the way they did.
Surprised
No
you didn't
eyebrows.
see
God
that.
damn.
Like,
Yeah,
He
yeah, hundred
pulled a
percent.
cane. God
secret
damn.
weapon.
no.
Good shit.
Maybe he'll
I have a
be mayor of
question
Knox
about.
County, Tennessee next.
Yeah.
I wonder what you guys thought of his one moment in the war room with Rhaenyra when he
Mm.
just suddenly choked her. What is
Oh
you
yes,
guys'
I wanted to bring that up.
what's your read on that?
That was an interesting moment because I want to see how Rhaenyra acts with that in the new season. How Rhaenyra's gonna um
I mean, I feel like she like nipped it in the butt right there. Like she belittled him like with a sentence. Like it was kind of like she was like, "You don't even know." Like
oh yeah,
you
because
know,
of
like
the yeah
yeah, she's like, "Oh my god, like you don't even like he didn't even tell you."
yeah
But I was shocked that he like went for her throat like that because so
yeah
this is just to give it context. She's like I'm not gonna go to like first. He showed that he was upset that she's not
yeah
being more aggressive, and then she's like clear the room, and then it's just her and him, and she's like I'm not doing this for my own personal gain or for my own bloodlust. Like I have a people and a land to protect. Like and she's
from the
like for the
north. Yeah.
yeah, and she's like for a dream. Yeah, you like you know the dream and like the war that's coming and I think that's right when he grabbed her and he said something along the lines of like, dreams don't win wars like dragons do. And my read on that, I guess, because I'm still a little confused on it, I'm like, maybe he's noticing that kind of dream speak and that kind of idealistic speak of Viserys that made him so angry with
hmm
Viserys because he was such a passive king
Yeah.
and he wants to be true Targaryen, and he's like, I'm not going to let Rhaenyra also speak this way. And so
Yeah.
like it's this kind of like anger like at her like that you're speaking this way.
Yeah,
Um
it's funny. I guess if he knew that it was the dream of Aegon the Conqueror, the one that he dreamt this prophecy, that it would be different. But yeah,
yeah, but he wasn't told.
yeah, no, he wasn't. And there was yeah,
Well, yeah,
there's
she's gonna
like
have to get him for that because like you don't do that shit with Rhaenyra now.
yeah,
So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I want to see
yeah,
her reaction to it in the second season.
yeah,
But
me too, me too.
let's wrap this review up for House of the Dragon. I think we've said it all. I think we've said how much we've all like enjoyed this prequel series, and this is how you stay true to the writing. This is, and if you make changes, you make it for the better, and you do it out of the love for the like the source material, and you can create a show and a prequel such as this.